This anime tells the story of Rein Shroud, a beast tamer who has the ability to speak and tame various types of animals to help him do what he says. One day, Rein is getting kicked out of the hero's party because his abilities were judged to be unsuitable for fighting, so he only served as a porter. Therefore, he was deemed useless and only seen as a burden to them. After being kicked out, Rein loses everything including his goal, so he decides to become an adventurer after having talked with some kids outside. At the Adventurers Guild, Rein gives his name for registration to Natalie, and has a short lecture about the essential knowledge of being an adventurer. Rein is then told to kill 10 goblins and gather herbs as a registration test. Using a squirrel, he tracked the goblins and effortlessly killed them off. However, when he is about to continue looking for herbs, he hears someone scream, only to find out a cat girl is being cornered by a killer tiger. He decides to act on his knife but to no avail, and puts himself into a dangerous position. As the killer tiger corners him, he is intended to give the girl a chance to run away, but instead he witnesses the girl jump at a very high speed and slam the tiger. Rein catches the girl after she passes out from exhaustion and notes her cat ears. This girl is a rare cat tribe. It's known as one of the strongest races of beasts that is exceptionally strong without the use of magic, but they are in danger of extinction. After giving her some food, she introduces herself as Kanade, and she was dying of hunger when he found her. As the two have a long conversation about their background, they form a bond very quickly to the point Kanade angry. After hearing Rein's situation with the hero's party, Kanade feels that Rein is actually very strong and asks him to tame her. He is a bit puzzled if it is possible to do so, but feels that he wants to know Kanade better. He gives a shot which turns out to be a success. Before returning to the city, Rein and Kanade went to look for herbs to complete his quest by taming some rabbits to help. Kanade is surprised that Rein can tame several animals at once, even though at the same time he has tamed her too, whereas generally beast tamers can only tame one animal. Rein himself doesn't know the exact reason and thinks it is commonplace, which makes Kanade even more confused by this situation. Back to the Adventurers Guild, Rein submits the items that he gained to Natalie, and with that, he's now recognized as an F-ranked adventurer, and he's given 50 copper coins for completing the quest. Later in the cafeteria, Rein and Kanade prepare to take a quest right away, but are delayed as a man approaches the two and takes an immediate interest in Kanade. Kanade refuses when the man tries to court her, so the man challenges Rein to an arm wrestling contest with Kanade as the prize. Despite his hesitancy, Rein accepts the challenge and instantly wins, much to his surprise. Rein wonders how he became so strong, and Kanade explains that once he made a contract with the strongest race, their abilities are amplified to him, which means Rein's strength is believed to be as strong as Kanade's. Excited to take on a new job, Kanade's hopes are extinguished when they do herb gathering again and complains that they should be doing a more extravagant job. As despondent over this as Kanade was, someone is screaming off in the distance, and Rein suggests they check it out. At the location, an old man and his mule are surrounded by a group of bandits with an infamous reputation with 100 members in their ranks. Rein decides to ambush the bandits, and Kanade's heart starts racing to see Rein defeat the bandits while protecting the man. The geezer explains that a group of adventurers protected him, but they fled when the bandits arrived. From him, Rein and Kanade also learned that there were still members of the bandits left, and they decide to deal with the rest of them. Soon they reach the bandits' hideout. Rein and his Arbies handle the bandit members, while Kanade returns to the town to get some reinforcements. Two of the three adventurers who were tasked with protecting the old man are revealed to have been Rein's old comrades, Mina and Lean. The two curse their situation and redirect their frustrations to the beast tamer they were partnered with. Returning to Rein's side, Kanade and the reinforcements arrive, but not long after, a trio king lizards break through their wooden cage and start to rampage. Through the combined efforts of Rein and Kanade, they manage to take down the monsters, allowing the adventurers to carry the bandits out of the area. The next day, Rein is promoted to E rank for his contribution to eliminating the bandits and earns a sizable reward for their efforts. With their rewards, they purchased new equipment, celebrated by having a fancy dinner together, and finally ended up in their current predicament by renting an inn. Although Kanade is elated that they have actual beds to sleep on, Rein is flabbergasted that they have to share a room together thanks to the innkeeper. Despite his apprehension, Rein agrees to share the room with Kanade. That night, as Rein sleeps, Kanade contemplates how fortunate she is to have been found by Rein. A week has passed, and a new quest is waiting for Rein. It is to subdue an unknown thug appearing on the South Bridge, who picks fights with anyone who tries to cross the bridge. Enticed by the 5 gold rewards, Rein takes the quest and immediately heads to the bridge with Kanade. Shortly after they arrive, a female human dragon named Tanya lands close to them and proclaims its desire to fight them. After Rein confirms whether she was the troublemaker in question, both Rein and Kanade agree to the challenge. Apparently, Tanya is also one of the strongest races and uses the bridge as a training ground. Noting the difficulty of facing off against Tanya, Rein comes up with a plan that Kanade goes head-to-head with Tanya to buy Rein time to form a temporary contract on a bird. A few minutes later, Rein takes over and attacks Tanya with his companion, which makes her become immobilized and then surrender. Rein asks her to come with them, but when questioning what would happen if she refused, Tanya finds Rein's answer interesting, and the continuous pokes from Kanade got her into submission and agreed to his demand. Afterward, Rein and Kanade report back to Natalie at the guild, and before Tanya can introduce herself, Rein stops her from revealing her true identity, and abruptly leaves the guild in a hurry to avoid trouble. On the outskirts of town, Rein allows her to leave but admonishes her from starting any trouble again after this. However, Tanya had taken a liking to Rein and suggested taming her as well. That night in town, Arios complains about his team's wasted efforts in the Lost Woods and comes up with an idea to recruit Rein back, only to dump him again after they complete it. The following day, Tanya joins Rein's party, and they get a quest to exterminate swarms of slimes. At the same time, Tanya uses this opportunity to train Rein to control his magic abilities better, after receiving a buff from forming a contract with her. Afterward, they have dinner at a restaurant and talk about Rein's past. Rein reveals the background of his home village and how it was lost due to a monster attack, how a group of adventurers rescued him, and how he ended up kicked out from the hero's party. Hearing this story saddens both Tanya and Kanade. The day after, Rein's group subjugates a bunch of orcs, one of which manages to stab Rein in the arm while trying to protect Tanya. That afternoon, Tanya stood on a bridge gazing at the flowing river water below, pondering whether or not she'd done the right thing. Soon, Rein finds Tanya, who then formally apologizes to him for her actions, causing his in danger. On the other hand, Rein and Kanade note their relief that she's alright, making the bond between the three grow even stronger. That night, Tanya realizes her feelings for Rein, but would flatly deny them as a fondness for him. The following day, Arios and his party confront Rein on the road and give him a sarcastic greeting. They tell them about their plans to enter the Lost Woods in order to retrieve Shield of Truth, and with some disparaging remarks, Arios offers an olive branch to Rein, allowing him to rejoin his group despite his uselessness. Rest of members then all comment that Rein should be grateful for them allowing him to rejoin their group. However, Rein refuses their offer, but Lean tries to convince him with a lure that triggers memories of Rein's past. Rein quietly agrees to it while his friends reluctantly follow Rein's decision. Aria's party chastises him for not accepting from the start and about to walk off, but both Kanade and Tanya stop them and demand a proper apology to Rein by groveling. The tension between the two parties continue to arise, to the point Arias asking for a party duel to see which is stronger. In separate locations, Kanade faces off against Agathe, Tanya faces off against Mina and Lean, and Rein faces off against Arios. The hero party using their best jutsu they've got, but that's not even close to putting Rein's party in trouble. With little effort, they manage to defeat the hero's party and make them kneel to apologize to Rein. The next day, Rein and his party arrive in the dark and dreary Lost Woods, where the Shield of Truth is said to be located at. To start their search, Rein assimilates with a bird to scope out the area, but as soon as they enter the woods, they keep circling in the same place and can't get out of there. Tanya casts Material Search to investigate the surrounding area and leads them to a tree emitting illusionary magic, where she then asks Kanade to forcibly remove it. At that moment, a disembodied voice demands they leave that place, and from the tree, a fairy appears before them. Although the elf initially refuses to cooperate and warns them that she shall expel them if they don't leave, she eventually caves in after Rein sacrifices himself, enduring the pain of the elf's illusionary arrows, only to show her they had only come to talk. The elf introduces herself as Sora, and after listening to Rein's explanation about how the Shield of Truth was needed to defeat the Demon King, Sora fetches and gives it to Rein for free. Once that's done, Kanade and Tanya try to leave, but Rein returns to Sora and asks what was bothering her. She then talks about her twin sister Rana and their job to protect and maintain the barriers that lead into the fairy village. All was well between the two, until they exited the barrier for personal reasons and encountered a monster affiliated with the Demon King army called a Shadow Knight. Sora continues. The Shadow Knight demands that she lower the barrier with Rana as his hostage, but in fear, she fled and was told by the leader to abandon Rana. Hearing Sora's plea, Rein vows to help and rescue Rana from the Shadow Knight, causing Sora to embrace Rein tearfully. Arriving at the scene, Rein and his friends challenge the Shadow Knight to save Rana, who was imprisoned. Facing an enemy immune to magic attacks and having high resistance to physical attacks, Rein is going to fight with an idea. After forming a temporary contract with some RBs to act as a distraction, Rein casts Boost on Kanade, who utilizes her bolstered power to defeat the Shadow Knight, while Tanya takes Rana away. Once the enemy is defeated, they return to Sora and the twins have a hug. Even though the twins finally reunite, they want to distance themselves from the people in the village. Ever since Rana had been excommunicated, having no place to go or adequate knowledge of the outside world, Kanade invites the fairies to join them and Rein forms a contract with the twins. Later that day, Rein meets the hero's party to hand over the Shield of Truth. Despite being offered to rejoin the party with the promise of treating him better, Rein refuses as he is content with his current life with his friends. However, Arius is still embittered because his defeat against Rein has him agitated, who he vows to eliminate. Elsewhere underneath a tree, Rein explains to his party about the legend of the first hero who defeated the Demon King. Apparently, only one with the blood of the gods can be the hero and have unrestrained potential to be capable of defeating the Demon King. The following day, Rein and team visited the best armory in the town owned by Gantz to get his own custom dagger. However, it was said that the special weapon cannot be made due to the lack of materials. Eventually, the group heads to the Adventurers Guild to submit a formal quest from Gantz requesting mithril or from a depleted mine his family inherited. Upon reaching their destination, Rein suggests they stand to watch close by to the mine's entrance to see if his theory of thieves stealing from the mine is true. To make matters worse, Rein suspected that one of the adventurers was a beast tamer from the hawk he spotted was acting as a lookout. Inside the mithril mines, Rein's party is ambushed by 4 robbers who give them no choice but to fight. As of what Rein suspected, there's a beast tamer who uses a powerful monster behemoth. Rein and Kanade face off against him and the monsters, while the others take the captured thieves outside for their safety. Although Kanade restrains the beast tamer and Rein overwrites the behemoth's contract, he refuses to surrender and provokes Behemoth to continue his rampage, making Rein no choice but to cast a fireball to defeat it. Meanwhile, Arios and Mina are facing a deadlock over finding a replacement beast tamer on par with Rein. Arius pulls a cursed ring from his desk and plans to use it to get revenge against Rein. At the town, Rana and Sora have a talk with Rein to figure out what special skills or new abilities he obtained by forming a contract with them. Not long after, a pompous noble Edgar accompanied by 2 guards approaches and takes interest in Rana and Sora. The twins reject his demand, so he orders his soldiers to attack him. As Rein steps in and is able to back them into a corner, Edgar orders the remainder of his soldiers to hold the surrounding people as hostages. Disgusted by how Edgar views his subjects, Rein awakens his fairy magic abilities and rescues the hostages using a multicast fireball spell on the soldiers. Later at the inn, Rein and all his friends discuss Edgar's shady background about kidnapping and torturing women for his amusement. He apparently gets away with his dirty deeds, thanks to his father's influence as Horizon's lord. So the following day, Rein and Kanade visit the Order of Knights headquarters to file a formal complaint against Edgar. However, the complaint was formally rejected as it was already reported as a minor scuffle and would not be investigated further. They're then approached by the Vice Captain Knight named Stella, who requests their help to bring down Edgar. Trusting in Kanade's judgment about her opinion of Stella, Rein agrees to help her, while also cleaning out the corruption within the Knights of Order. To catch the corrupt knights, they set decoy messages incriminating evidence against Edgar, and thus the corrupt Knights of Order are sent to investigate, where they are defeated by Stella in a warehouse in a one-on-one combat. Meanwhile at Fromware Manor, Edgar receives news of the arrest of his underlings and takes out his frustration onto a little fox girl, and at that moment, Arios came to provoke Edgar to finish Rein by giving him his cursed ring as a weapon. Later that night, Kanade and her teammates raided Edgar's mansion as a diversion, while Rein and the twins rescued all the prisoners including a demigod named Nina. Rein carrying Nina gathers with Stella, and at the same time, Edgar's father tries to escape but chooses the wrong way as he meets them in the mansion's foyer. It doesn't take much effort to catch him down, but bigger trouble arises when Edgar summons a Ripper using the ring that Arios gave him, and he goes straight to attack Rein using lethal magic. Standing atop the mansion's roof, Arios gloats about Rein's supposed death, but what he misses is that Rein's immune to the magic thanks to Runa's ability. Watching from the 2nd floor banister, the despondent Edgar watches the conversation between Rein and his party, while some dark ominous energy escapes from the ring and transforms the noble into a demon. It doesn't take long for the demon to devastating Horizon with all power and put the residents in danger, so Rein and his friends decided to divide the tasks. Rein, Kanade, and Tanya face the demon and his pieces head-on, while Stella, Rana, and Sora are assisted by several soldiers to evacuate Nina and the villagers to a safe place. Meanwhile, Arius chooses to turn a blind eye to what happened. in hopes of getting revenge against Rein, and his party members have no choice but to comply with the hero's words. Back in Horizon, Sora and Rana are having trouble evacuating townsfolk using teleportation magic as they have trust issues against the fairies, until a few familiar faces convince them. Returning to Rein's group, Kanade and Tanya become exhausted from fighting endless monsters, but soon, they get help from the town's adventurers, as well as Nina, who lent her demigod powers to teleport Rein close to the demon, so he could confront it directly. As Rein reaches close enough to the demon, he becomes afflicted by the demon's influence, but manages to overcome this and overwrites the control over the demon's monsters. The enraged demon then breaks free from its restraints and tries to attack Rein, but is overwhelmed and defeated by its turncoat monsters. 3 days pass by since the demon rampaged through Horizon, and its townsfolk start rebuilding the town. Stella had since been appointed the new Knights captain, and the corrupt knights, his accomplices and Edgar's father, were moved to the capital to receive formal punishment for their actions. With their large group, Rein and his friends, who were encouraged by Natalie, decide to buy a house as a base. They find a place that meets everyone's needs, but it turns out to be a haunted house where strange phenomena occur. Upon entering the living room, a disembodied voice demands the group to get out, and a maid ghost appears before them. Before the ghost could possess Rein, he uses his power as a beast tamer to stop her, and the ghost introduces herself as Tina. After hearing a bit of her backstory, Rein decides to purchase the house to share the place with her. Meanwhile, the hero's party walks the streets and is met with disdain by its townsfolk for not showing up during the demon attack. On the other hand, Rein enjoys a feast for dinner with his friends and reflects on how fortunate he is to have all met his party members, as well as a flashback to his parents, and looks forward to whatever comes next. And that's how the story ends.